How's it going, and welcome back to the channel and to our Nordic adventure. So we started off with Norway and we're now heading off to Sweden. If you want to go and check out the Norway vlog that I did, that would have been posted last week. So we've just got a 45-minute flight all the way from Oslo to Stockholm. It was so easy, and I had a full row to myself in the end. After being placed on an aisle, I just sat the row behind, and there was about 8-9 more rows of empty seats, so it was really easy and a lovely flight as well. It was super quick, didn't have to go through passport control, and now we are waiting for the tube to take us into the centre of Stockholm. The train was quite expensive. It was a return ticket and it was about 70 quid for just the two of us, so fairly expensive compared to it in Oslo. So we've just arrived at the Hobo Hotel in Stockholm, and now I will give you a quick tour of the room. It's a lot different to the room that we were previously in. So as you can see, it's a bit more hostel vibes, a bit modern. So a few shelves there, and then we'll walk into the room area. So you can see the TV's up there. You've got the bed there. Then in the background you can see some things hung up, so you can basically use those for free whilst you do stay in Stockholm, and then you have to replace them at the end. And then I can show you the view better tomorrow, but it looks like it's just office blocks and maybe a restaurant on the other side and things like that. So I have to make sure the curtains are closed. And then into the bathroom. So you've got the toilet here, shower there. They've got soap, hair wash and hair rinse. Not too sure what the difference is between those two. We've then been given some slippers, a big sink and a lovely mirror as well to get ready in. They also have these blinds by the shower. I'm not too sure what these are for, but they're really strange because you can literally open up the blinds and then see straight into the shower. Not sure what the need for that is. First impressions of Stockholm is that it's much more lively compared to Oslo. It looks like it's going to be a lot more to do and things like that. People all around, lots of high-rise buildings compared to Oslo, which was pretty flat city to be honest. Not many high-rise buildings at all, and it was very quiet as you went around. But again, they did say whilst we were in Oslo that most people move out to the cabins whilst it is the Easter holidays, which is when we've come. As you can tell as well, the hotel's a lot cooler. It's a lot more indie sort of vibes rather than sophisticated. They also just have that modern touch to it as well, Stockholm, compared to Oslo too. It'll be good to see it in the morning as well with all the lights on. It'll be interesting as well to see how much more expensive it is or whether it is cheaper than Oslo. But so far with the train tickets, it seems a lot more expensive, but we'll have to find out. It's getting fairly late here now, so we're going to go down for a quick drink at the hotel. We're not going to go out into Stockholm, but we might explore the hotel for a little bit as well. And that is it for the first night. So we went and explored the rooftop bar and the bar down at the bottom as well. They've got a really strange lift system at the moment where you go down to the bottom floor, then you have to cross across the bar at the bottom floor through a door with a smiley face on it, and then get another lift to go all the way back up for breakfast in the morning, which is really strange. But the bars look really nice, to be honest. It'd be good to go up to the rooftop bar as well to try and see the sunset maybe on one of the days. But we're going to go to bed now. And so tomorrow we've got quite a bit planned, a few museums and things like that. So I'll see you all in the morning. Good morning. It is our first full day in Stockholm. We had a decent sleep, to be fair. It's nice and cool in this room compared to the one in Oslo where it's quite warm. I'll give you a quick view of what we can see outside now that it's the weather's changed and you can actually see. So it's just like an office block. There's actually someone working just about 2 floors down, and you can see them working in there. We're now going to head off for breakfast. Not too sure how I'm feeling about it because it's a Japanese / Nordic style breakfast. It's meant to be healthy and stuff like that, and that's not really me while I'm on holiday. But we'll have to see what they serve. You never know. Could be something really tasty, but it's at the rooftop bar, which looks really nice. So hopefully they should have really nice food too. Breakfast eaten, again a very tasty breakfast. As you can see, they had lots of different options to have. We started off with the croissants, chocolate croissant and a normal croissant with jam and cream. You can't go wrong with that. Then we went for a cooked breakfast, which we've not actually had so far since being on this trip. So we had some bacon, sausage, cheesy omelettes and baked beans, all really nice too. And then we ended it off with some pancakes with maple syrup and cream on top. I'd probably say that breakfast was slightly worse than the one in Oslo, only because it had better cereals in Oslo, so I'll probably give that one an 8 out of 10, and then the Oslo one a 9 out of 10. And now we're going to head off to the ABBA Museum. So there's quite a lot of museums all in the same area, which is good, so we're going to try and tick a few of those off today, and then maybe a few of them off tomorrow, so we're going to decide which ones we're going to do, and then we'll head off shortly. So what we managed to do was actually buy a Swedish music experience ticket, which meant that we could go into both the ABBA Museum and the Avicii Museum, and it was only £29, that's pretty good. And then the tram there and back is about £3 to £4 each, so that's not bad either. Now I've got to make the hard decision though of whether I take a coat and a jumper or I just take one or the other, because it is very cold outside. It's only about 2 degrees. However, in the museums they're usually quite warm, so I'm probably not going to wear either, so I don't know whether there's any point in me taking them if I'm just going to have to carry them around the museum. I think we're going to go for just the coat because, to be honest, I don't enjoy carrying stuff around in places, so if we take just the coat we can probably tie it around the waist after, and then it will all be fine. And that was the ABBA experience. It was great fun, to be honest. They had loads of information on how they thought up of their songs. I also didn't realise that it was two sets of couples that made up ABBA. We also learned all about how they set up their new Voyage project, which is in London, and I also got the chance to be one of the ABBA members towards the end and actually get involved with the Voyage sort of holograms. We're now heading over to the Viking museums. Hopefully that should be quite interesting, as this is where the Vikings came from. Well, they actually came from Norway, Sweden and Denmark, so thankfully we managed to get to a museum while we're in Sweden, because Finland, there were no Vikings in Finland, which I never knew. Weather is a lot colder here in Sweden as well. It is snowing quite a lot right now, but it's really nice views, to be fair, over the ford, or this could be a lake, I'm not too sure, to be honest. But you can see all the boats up there. We've got the Viking Museum just behind us here, so we're going inside and hopefully we'll learn a lot more about Vikings. So that was the Viking Museum. Really interesting actually, learning all about the Vikings and how they're perceived to be these really evil people, but they're not actually that evil. And also one of the big things that everyone thinks that Vikings have horns on their helmets, but they actually don't. So that's another fact that we learnt. And then we also learnt a lot about the culture, the different types of people and the hierarchy of the Vikings. It was also interesting with the Vikings how we learnt that they were the first to discover Iceland, Greenland, and how with their language they just named them as simply as they could. So Iceland, land of ice, let's call it Iceland. Greenland, he actually lied about the land being green because obviously it is full of ice, but he did that just to basically drag a few of his mates across the water to go and discover it. But we're now going to head over to the Vasa Museum. I don't really understand it too much, to be honest, so we'll have to find out a little bit more inside. But they basically recovered one of the boats, but not from the Viking era, and they've brought it to this museum here. So there you go. That is the Vasa Museum. We'll go head off inside now and see what they have in store. And we are back at the hotel. Really enjoyed the Vasa Museum, learning all about the boat that sank after just travelling 120 metres trying to get from Sweden to Poland. They basically completely misbuilt it, and then it just toppled over when it hit a big gust of wind. Only 30 people died, thankfully, so most people actually managed to get out and get to shore safely. And then because it sank, all the mud that surrounded all of the skeletons actually preserved them, so when people went back down to retrieve the boat, they've actually managed to retrieve 30 skeletons as well. They don't actually know who died, but they managed to get them out of the water, clean them all up, and it's basically like a preserved skeleton, just in a few different boxes around the museum. And then we returned home on the tram, again, nice and cheap tram. And then we managed to spot an Ikea on the way back as well, which is literally a 1-minute walk from the hotel. Went and bought some cinnamon buns, which were 2 for 75p, which is crazy. I'll show you them now. There they are in there. So we're going to try a couple of those. Should be very tasty, and they're nice and warm and fresh as well, because we saw them bring them out of the oven. These cinnamon buns are incredible. They're so warm and just melt in your mouth. Are delicious. So most of today has literally been walking around museums, so my back is killing. I don't really understand why, but when you stood up straight just for hours on end, your back just starts to hurt for some reason. Right, so we are all ready to go out. We're going to head out into the old town, and we've got a restaurant booked called Umi, so it's sort of Lebanese style food, so it should be quite tasty and something different that we've not had yet. We've also not been into the old town yet, so it is going to be a bit dark, so we're not going to see it properly. However, tomorrow morning we have got a tour booked for 10 a.m, so we're not too bothered about seeing all of the old town tonight. And we are back. So we've had a really nice meal at the Omu restaurant. They also gave us loads of great recommendations for the other nights. That'll be good as well. We had lots of nice food. My favourite has to be the halloumi. Anyone that doesn't like halloumi, I don't know what's wrong with you. It is so good. And they had it with like this sweet honey sort of sauce, and that was really tasty too. One thing we have noticed while we've been in Stockholm though is that it's a lot colder than Oslo. So like walking back right now, it felt just freezing. It might be a similar sort of temperature though, to be honest, but it does definitely feel a lot colder. I think it's because it's by a lot of water as well. Tried a couple of Swedish beers as well. They were both very nice. The Sleepy Dog, and I think it was the Sneezy Dog or something like that. They were both named similarly from the same brand, both very tasty. The old town was nice again, but it seemed very quiet. It seems to be these Nordic cities seem very quiet. I don't know whether it's because it's over the Easter holidays or whether it's just quieter during the week, but it seemed quite quiet on the weekend while in Oslo as well. But we're going to bed slightly earlier tonight because we've got a walking tour in the morning at 10 a.m. So we need to be up early for breakfast, and then we're off to do the walking tour around the old town, so we'll see it in the light, and you can see a lot more restaurants and bars and things like that. But now we are off to bed. Hopefully we get a good night's sleep again. It's nice and cool in this room, which is good compared to the one in Oslo. Good night, and I'll see you all in the morning.